and welcome back to the deep dive.
Hey there.
Usually when we sit down at this table, our physical environment is, well, it's cluttered.
Very cluttered.
Yeah, we're talking about the usual state of affairs, right? We've got stacks of academic journals, binders full of market research, maybe a printed out investigative report or two lying around.
Don't forget the half-empty coffee cups.
Right, exactly. The air is usually thick with the smell of toner and stale coffee. But today the desk is, it's disturbingly clean.
It's practically sterile in here.
It really is. We have no stack of papers. We have no lengthy PDFs to comb through. We have exactly one item in our source folder.
Just the one.
Just one single digital image file. The file name is, and this is wonderfully cryptic, unnamed.jpg.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission, if we choose to accept it, which apparently we have, is to extract every single ounce of insight, history, and psychology from this one visual artifact.
It is a pretty radical departure from our usual format.
Yeah, to say the least.
And I think it's important to set the stage for you, the listener, regarding why we're actually doing this. Usually, we are synthesizers of text.
Right.
We look for narrative threads in data. But today, we are shifting disciplines entirely. We're essentially becoming forensic visual analysts.
Yeah, we are. And before we even describe the image, I feel like I need to address the elephant in the room.
Oh, right. The prompt.
Yeah, the prompt. We had a specific request attached to this deep dive. The prompt was asking us to discuss, quote, financial allocation and how to spend money.
Specifically targeting people who feel overwhelmed by budgeting, right? Folks who just don't know how to allocate their funds.
Exactly, which is a super common pain point.
Oh, absolutely. It's overwhelming.
It is, but, and this is a massive but, we have a strict rule on this show about intellectual honesty.
Always.
We are guides to the provided source material. We don't bring outside knowledge that isn't supported by the evidence in front of us. And I have stared at unnamed.jpg for, I don't know, about 2 hours now.
And what did you find?
I have found 0 numbers.
Yeah.
I have found 0 investment strategies. There is no compound interest chart hidden in the pixels. There is There's no 5E3020 budgeting rule written in invisible ink somewhere.
Correct. If we were to sit here and give you 20 minutes of advice on how to balance your 401k based solely on this image, we'd be hallucinating.
We'd be lying to you.
Plain and simple.
Exactly. So if you tuned in hoping for hot stock tips or a breakdown of high-yield savings accounts, I have to be honest, right up front, that is not in the source.
No.
However, what is in the source is a fascinating case study in visual communication. So we're pivoting. We're going to treat this image like an archaeological find.
And I actually think this is a highly valuable exercise for everyone, especially those interested in finance and figuring out where their money goes.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it. So much of modern financial decision-making is driven by user interfaces.
Oh, that's a great point.
Right. By apps, by big green buy buttons and red sell signals. Understanding how a simple image manipulates your attention or creates a false sense of trust, that is a critical skill for managing your money these days.
We're decoding the dashboard, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that. So let's describe the specimen for the listener. If you're commuting or at the gym, just picture this in your mind.
Paint the picture.
It's a square image. It has a solid, flat green background. And right in the center, there's a white serif letter X.
It sounds incredibly simple when you say it like that.
It really does. A green square, a white X. I can practically hear the listeners right now saying, are they really going to talk about 2 basic shapes for this whole deep dive?
And the answer is yes. They absolutely should keep listening because that simplicity is deceptive.
Right.
In design, true simplicity is usually the result of 100 invisible decisions. We have a ton of data here.
We do.
We have color data, geometric data. We have typographical history. We even have file compression artifacts to talk about. It's kind of like looking at a drop of pond water under a microscope.
Yeah.
Like, to the naked eye, it's just a drop of water. But under the lens, it's a whole bustling ecosystem.
Precisely. We need to shift our perspective today from reading to seeing. We're going to break this down into 3 specific layers.
Okay.
Think of it like an anatomy lesson. First, the skin. That's the canvas, the green background. Second, the skeleton, the symbol, that white X. And third, the DNA, the overall composition and those file attributes I mentioned.
I really like that structure. Let's start with the skin then. Section 1, the canvas.
So pull up the image on your screen. What is the very first thing that hits your optic nerve?
Oh, the green. It's undeniably green.
Right.
And it covers the entire field. There's no border. There's no frame around it. It's just edge-to-edge color.
Now, look a little closer at the actual quality of that color. Is it a photograph of a lawn? Is it textured like canvas or paper?
No, it's completely flat. It looks purely digital. There's no grain to it at all. It's just a wash of a single hex code.
And that right there is our very first clue about the era this image comes from. In the design world, we call this flat design.
Okay.
Do you remember what smartphone apps looked like back in, say, 2010?
Oh, vaguely. I mean, I remember the Notes app looking like an actual yellow legal pad with lines and everything.
Yep.
And the digital bookshelf app had like a fake mahogany wood grain texture.
Exactly. That design philosophy was called skeuomorphism.
Skeuomorphism.
Right. The digital world was trying to mimic the physical world to make people feel comfortable interacting with glass screens. Buttons looked like glossy, raised plastic that you could press. Backgrounds had faux leather textures with little digital stitches.
I remember the stitched leather calendar app. It felt so classy at the time.
It did. But around 2013, mainly with the release of iOS 7 and the heavy influence of the Metro design language before that, the whole digital world shifted.
Right, because we didn't need the training wheels anymore.
Exactly. We realized we didn't need the fake letter to understand how a calendar works. We understood that a screen is just a screen, so design went flat.
Shadows disappeared.
Textures vanished. We were left with these solid, unadulterated blocks of color.
So just by observing the fact that this is a solid, untextured green, we can actually date this image.
We can definitely place it firmly in the post-2013 modern digital era. Flat design prioritizes clarity and load speed over decorative fluff. It's a very utilitarian aesthetic.
Okay, let's talk about the specific shade of green we're looking at, because green isn't just one monolithic thing.
Not at all.
There's, radioactive slime green, and there's deep forest green. It's somewhere in the middle.
Color is fascinating because it exists in two places simultaneously, in the physics of light and in the psychology of the human brain. If we were to sample this exact color, we're likely looking at a hex code somewhere near #228B22.
Which is what,
It's
exactly?
a standard web color, often called forest green or sometimes office green.
Office green. Is that a real technical term?
It's a very common descriptor in web-safe colors, yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's not neon. It's not aggressive. It's muted just enough to sit comfortably in the background without screaming for your attention.
Yeah, it feels responsible somehow. It doesn't feel like a party.
That is the psychology kicking in right there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's unpack the biophilia hypothesis.
So what hypothesis?
Biophilia.
Okay.
It's the idea that human brains evolved in nature, and therefore we have innate biological reactions to certain environmental cues.
Makes sense.
So for millions of years of human evolution, what did the color green mean to a person?
Well, it meant plants. It meant food. It probably meant there was fresh water nearby.
Right. It meant the dry season was over. Fundamentally, it meant life.
Wow.
When we see green, our parasympathetic nervous system actually engages. It can literally lower your heart rate. It signals safety to the brain. Now contrast that with red.
Red is blood. Red is fire.
Exactly. Red spikes your adrenaline. It signals an immediate threat or a high-priority target that requires urgent action. Green, on the other hand, signals a system normal. Resources available.
So even though this is a digital file, which is arguably the most unnatural thing in the world, my lizard brain is looking at this flat green square and thinking, I am safe.
Your lizard brain is relaxing, yes.
Yes.
And UI designers, user interface designers, know this deeply.
Ah, tying it back to the financial apps.
Exactly. That's why financial apps, budgeting tools, success notifications, and verified badges are almost always green.
They want you to feel secure.
They are actively trying to hack that evolutionary response. When you are moving your money around, which is a highly stressful activity for most people.
Especially for the people who requested this topic, who don't know how to allocate their funds.
Right. If you are overwhelmed by budgeting, an app interface that uses soft, stable greens is subconsciously whispering to you, it's okay, you're safe, your resources are fine here.
That is brilliant and a little terrifying.
It is.
But there's a flip side to the specific green, isn't there? You mentioned office green earlier, because honestly, this doesn't look like a lush jungle to me. It reminds me of, I don't know, a pool table or an old school chalkboard.
And that is the institutional aspect of the color green.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Think about the classic green visors that accountants used to wear in old black and white movies.
Oh yeah, the classic bean counter look. Why were those visors green anyway? Was it just a weird fashion statement?
No, it was pure function. Early incandescent light bulbs in offices were incredibly harsh on the eyes.
Okay.
Green glass or green fabric absorbs the most visually straining parts of the light spectrum while still allowing the accountant to see the high contrast of black ink on white paper.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, green is the most restful color for the you and I to focus on for long, uninterrupted periods.
So green literally became associated with paperwork.
Paperwork, accounting, banking, education, the green chalkboard, the green felt on the casino poker table where money changes hands, the accountant's visor. The ledger paper itself was often a pale green.
It's so interesting how those two concepts overlap perfectly. On one hand, you have nature and organic freedom. On the other hand, it's the most rigid, bureaucratic color imaginable.
And this specific image we are analyzing sits right at the intersection of those two ideas.
It really does.
It's a flat, modern digital green that leverages the biological safety of nature to create a trustworthy institutional vibe. Think about it. If this exact same background were hot pink, would you take it seriously?
Definitely not. If it were hot pink, I'd think it was a game or maybe a pop-up ad for candy. I certainly wouldn't trust it with my retirement allocation.
Right. But because it's this specific measured mid-tone green, it feels like a tool. It feels like part of a reliable system.
I do want to push back on one thing, though.
Sure.
We're assuming this is the good kind of green. But isn't green also the color of, well, envy or sickness,
Well,
like looking green around the gills?
in literature and idiom, yes, absolutely. Green with envy, the green-eyed monster.
Right.
But in the context of user interface design, which is undeniably, the context of this specific digital file green is almost exclusively a permissive signal.
Permissive.
Yes. Think of traffic lights. It's the most universal design language we have. Green means go. Red means stop. Yellow means caution.
That's a fair point. I've certainly never seen a delete account button that was green.
Exactly. Doing that would be what UX designers call a dark pattern, intentionally confusing or tricking the user by subverting established visual language.
Got it.
So just from a background alone, we can infer a massive amount of intent. The creator of this image wanted to signal safety, permission, institutional stability, and most likely go ahead.
Okay, before we move off the canvas entirely, I want to get a little technical.
Let's do it.
I'm zooming way in on the source file right now, and I'm noticing it's actually not perfect.
Yeah.
Right where the white X meets the green background, the line is a little fuzzy. There are these weird, blocky little halos around the edges.
You have spotted the compression artifacts.
Compression artifact.
Yes. And this is where the file name extension.jpg becomes absolutely critical to our forensic analysis.
Why does that matter? A picture is a picture, right?
Not to a computer, it isn't. There are two main ways to save digital images: lossless and lossy.
Okay, walk me through that.
A format like PNG is lossless. That means it preserves every single pixel exactly as the designer created it. It's pristine.
And JPG is the other one.
JPG is lossy. It was invented by the Joint Photographic Experts Group, hence the name, specifically to shrink file sizes for digital photos.
Because early hard drives and internet speeds couldn't handle massive files.
Exactly. It works by taking blocks of pixels, usually little 8x8 squares, and mathematically averaging out the color data within that block to save space. It essentially looks at the pixels and says, these greens are close enough to each other, let's just make them all the exact same grain.
So it's literally skimming the data, it's throwing information away.
It is throwing it away forever. And JPGs are famously terrible at handling sharp, high contrast lines.
Which is exactly what we have here.
Right. When you have a stark white letter placed directly on top of a stark green background, the contrast is too extreme for the algorithm. It gets confused and creates what we call ringing, or the Gibbs phenomenon.
The Gibbs phenomenon.
Yeah, that's the digital fuzziness, those weird little halos you're seeing when you zoom in.
So what does that fuzziness actually tell us about the source material?
It tells us this is not a master file.
Okay.
This isn't the original pristine design asset created in Adobe Illustrator and saved securely on a server. This is highly likely a screenshot or a saved copy from a web browser or something that has been heavily compressed and passed around.
It's digital detritus.
Yes, and have wear and tear.
It's a copy of a copy of a copy.
Or just a really low fidelity, quick capture.
Yeah.
The fact that the file name is simply unnamed supports this theory too.
Right, nobody took the time to name it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't saved as official underscore logo underscore final underscore version 3.png. It was saved as an automatic raw dump from an operating system.
It adds a whole layer of mystery to the thing. It's like a fragment of a larger system that someone just found and dropped on our desk.
Precisely.
Okay, so To recap Section 1, we have a background that strongly signals safety in financial institutions, but a file format that signals quick and dirty or a ripped screenshot. This stage is officially set.
It is.
Now let's look at the actor standing on that stage.
Section 2, the symbol.
The letter X.
Now, you referred to it as just an X earlier in the show.
Yeah.
But I want you to look very closely at the shape of it. Describe the actual lines to me.
Okay, I'm looking. It's a capital X. It's two diagonal lines crossing in the middle. But they aren't just plain rectangles. They have these little feet at the ends of the lines.
Serifs.
Right, serifs. And also, the lines aren't the same thickness everywhere. Like, one diagonal stroke looks significantly chunkier than the other one.
That is an excellent observation. That variation in line thickness is called stroke modulation.
Stroke modulation.
Yes. And to understand why this specific digital X looks the way it does, we actually have to go back about 2,000 years to the Roman Empire.
Wait, we're jumping from JPEGs to ancient Rome.
We are, because typography is history frozen in time.
I love that.
The reason serif fonts, the ones with the little feet, even exist today is because of how the Romans originally carved letters into stone monuments.
Really? It
Yeah.
comes from carving.
Yes. When you are using a hammer and chisel to cut a line into solid marble, you can't just stop the stroke abruptly at the end. If you do, the stone might fracture or chip in an ugly way.
Oh, that makes total physical sense.
Right. So to finish the line cleanly, the stone carvers would flare out their tool at the very end of the stroke to create a neat, squared-off finish.
And that flare became the serif.
That physical necessity became the serif.
So when we see a serif font on a computer screen today, it literally implies carved in stone.
Subconsciously, yes. It implies permanence, authority. It says, this message is written for the ages.
And what about the thick and thin lines? The stroke modulation?
That mimics the angle of a broad-nib calligraphy pen.
Okay.
Before printing presses, everything was handwritten by scribes. If you hold a flat, broad-nib pen at a consistent 45-degree angle and draw an X, the stroke going down and to the right will naturally be thick because you're using the full width of the pen nib.
Right. You're pulling the wide part down.
Exactly. And the stroke going up and to the right will be thin because you're sliding the pen along its edge.
So this digital X is mimicking formal human handwriting?
It's mimicking formal historical human lettering, yes. And this is a crucial distinction to make. In the modern tech world, almost everything we interact with is sans serif.
Sans meaning without, so without feet.
Right. Think of the big tech giants, Google, Airbnb, Spotify, Apple. Their logos and interfaces use clean, geometric fonts with uniform line thickness.
They look engineered, like they were built in a lab.
They do. They look friendly, modern, and frictionless. But this X has serifs.
Yeah.
It has stroke modulation. It looks highly traditional. It looks like Times New Roman or Garamond. It feels like a legacy bank, an Ivy League university, or a newspaper of record.
That is a really weird contradiction, isn't it?
How so?
Well, we have a flat design green background,
Yeah.
which we establish is very modern, post-2013 aesthetic, but it's paired with a serif font, which is very traditional and ancient.
It is a contradiction, but it creates a very specific, calculated vibe. I call it modern reliability.
Iron reliability.
It communicates. We are digital and easy to use, but we are not some fly-by-night crypto startup. We have history. Your money is safe with us.
Wow.
It's the standard visual language of established fintech companies or legacy banking institutions that are trying to look current with a flat app design, but retain their historical authority.
Okay, let's talk about the actual letter X itself, because arguably X is the most culturally loaded symbol in the entire human alphabet.
Oh, without a doubt, it is the ultimate variable.
Right. In algebra, X is the unknown. We always have to solve for X.
It represents the mystery, the placeholder for information yet to be discovered.
But then on a pirate map, X marks the spot. It's the ultimate destination.
You are here, or the treasure is buried right under this point.
And historically, if I'm signing a legal contract and I can't read or write my own name...
You make your mark. You draw an X. The X becomes the legal proxy for the self. It's the most basic, foundational human signature.
But let's look at it specifically in the context of a digital user interface, since we've established that this is a digital screenshot or asset. Usually, if I see an X on a computer screen, what does it mean?
Usually, it almost always means close or delete, cancel, error.
Right, the little X in the top right corner of a browser window. Or the big red X that pops up when your credit card payment fails.
But, and this is where it gets brilliant, context is king. Look at the color palette again. This is a white X on a green background.
Does changing the color really change the core meaning of the symbol that much?
Fundamentally, a red X means stop or wrong, but a white X on a green square, that usually signifies a successful selection.
A selection. Oh, like a checkbox.
Yes, think about a paper ballot during an election, or filling out a form. Mark an X in the box.
Right. Check here to agree to the terms and conditions.
Exactly. In that specific context, the X isn't a negation at all. It's a positive affirmation. It means this one. I choose this option, or task complete and verified.
That's a complete 180-degree turn in meaning just from the background color.
It's a semiotic inversion. The color of the canvas actually overrides the default negative association of the shape. If this background were red, our brains would instantly interpret this as a critical system error. But because it is green, we interpret it as a completed task or an approved transaction.
It's a little confusing, though, if you really think about it. If they wanted to say yes, why not just use a check mark? A check mark is the universal, unambiguous symbol for yes or correct.
A check mark is unambiguous, true, but an X is perfectly symmetrical. And this brings us to the visual impact of the shape. An X is perfectly balanced on all sides. It commands the space much differently than a check mark, which is inherently lopsided and leans to the right.
Yeah, one side is way longer than the other.
Right. An X is a cross. It is a convergence of two equal forces.
It feels stronger.
It is significantly stronger. Visually, an X is an intersection. It forcefully draws the human eye straight to the exact center of the shape. A check mark, by its very nature, leads your eye off to the top right corner, carrying your momentum away from the center.
Interesting.
If you want a symbol that says, the buck stops right here, or focus on this exact point, an X is geometrically superior to a check mark.
Let's touch on the contrast real quick. Stark white on mid-tone green.
High contrast. From a design standpoint, this is an accessibility essential. We evaluate this using what's called the contrast ratio.
Right, for people with visual impairments.
Exactly. Or just for someone using their phone out in bright sunlight. If you put medium gray text on this green background, it would be muddy and unreadable. But stark white on a mid-tone green, it pops. It actually vibrates on the screen.
Vibrates? What do you mean by that?
In color theory, when two colors sit directly next to each other without a border, they interact optically. White is the presence of all light on a digital screen. Green is a very specific, narrow slice of the light spectrum.
Okay.
The pure white literally cuts through the green light. It feels incredibly crisp, feels perfectly clean to the eye.
It almost feels hygienic.
Hygienic is a fantastic word for it. There is absolutely no visual murkiness here. The message, whatever it actually is binary. Green field, white mark, on or off, yes or no.
There is zero ambiguity in the display itself.
Right. Even if the ultimate meaning of the X remains open to interpretation, the delivery of the visual information is brutally clear.
I want to speculate for a second, but keeping strictly within the bounds of the visual evidence we have.
Go for it.
We have this institutional green and we have this formal traditional X. To me, looking at the square aspect ratio, this looks exactly like an app icon on a smartphone.
It definitely has the standard proportions of an icon. It's a perfect square.
So if this were an app sitting on my home screen, what would it actually do?
Well, synthesizing everything we've discussed, the Office Green and the Serif X, I guess it's a productivity tool that takes itself very, very seriously.
Like what?
Maybe an encrypted, highly secure messaging app for corporate lawyers. Or a heavy-duty spreadsheet viewer for financial planners.
Or maybe a game, but like a really boring, stressful game like competitive tax filing.
Yes. Speed Audit 2026.
Exactly. It totally lacks the whimsy or the bright colors of game, but it also lacks the urgency of an emergency warning system. It sits firmly in that middle ground of dry utility.
It is a tool. That is the overwhelming vibe it projects. This is not digital art. This is not entertainment. This is a functional, utilitarian graphic meant to facilitate a serious process.
Which perfectly transitions us into Section 3, composition and the artifact itself.
Layout and balance.
So we talked a bit about the X being centered. Is it mathematically perfectly centered?
Visually, yes, it appears centered. But in advanced typography, centering an X within a box is actually incredibly tricky because of its optical weight.
Wait, really? Why is that?
If you mathematically center a serif X, based strictly on its outer boundaries, it will often look like it's sitting too low or slightly off balance.
Why?
Because in a lot of traditional Roman typefaces, the top arms of the X are actually designed to be slightly wider apart than the bottom legs.
Oh, I never noticed that. The top is wider.
Yes, typographers do that to prevent the letter from looking top-heavy or like it's about to tip over. It's an optical illusion built into the font.
That is fascinating.
But here, looking closely at the pixels in this image, whoever placed it adjusted for that. It feels incredibly stable and locked in. This is a prime example of what we call central composition.
It really feels like a target.
It locks your eye right in the crosshairs. There is literally nowhere else for your eye to wander.
Yeah.
Think about it. If the X were shoved into the bottom left corner, your eye would scan across all that empty green space, and your brain would instinctively ask, what is supposed to go in all this empty space?
But because it's dead center.
Because it fills the center perfectly, the negative space, the green area, stops being empty space and simply acts as a supporting frame.
It supports the hero of the image.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The figure-ground relationship is absolute here. The figure is the white X. The ground is the flat green. There is zero visual confusion about what you are supposed to be looking at.
I want to circle back to the file name for a minute, unnamed.jpg.
Yeah.
We touched on it earlier as being evidence of digital detritus, but I actually think there's something almost poetic about that file name.
Poetic. I'm intrigued. Go on.
Well, we live in a digital world where absolutely everything is heavily branded, right?
Heavily.
Everything has a corporate hashtag, a catchy title, SEO metadata tags, a copyright watermark. But this file has nothing. It's just unnamed.
It's totally orphan data.
It feels like walking down the street and finding a blank cassette tape sitting on the sidewalk. You have no idea what's on it until you take it home and play it.
That's a great analogy.
But in this case, we can clearly see what's on it. It's the image we're looking at. But we still completely lack the context of who made it, or why they made it, or where it belongs.
And that right there is the major so what moment of this entire deep dive for me.
Expand on that. How so?
We are constantly, endlessly bombarded with context in our daily lives. When you read a news article online, you don't just read the text. You see the sensational headline, you see the author's name, you check a publication date, you probably glance at the comments section.
Right. Oh, this is from source A, so I already know it's biased in this specific direction.
Exactly. All of that metadata tells your brain how to feel about the text before you even read the first sentence.
You're prejudging it.
Always. But here, with unnamed.jpg, we have forcibly stripped away all of that metadata. We have no author to praise or blame. We have no exact date other than the design clues we deciphered.
We don't even have the financial advice text the prompter asked for.
Exactly. We are forced to sit down and confront the image strictly as it is. Pure visual data.
It kind of acts like a Rorschach test.
To a degree, yes. But it's much more a test of critical observation. Can you see the serif and know what it implies? Can you identify the flat design era? Can you actively feel the biophilia effect of that specific green working on your nervous system?
Most people would just glance at this, say, oh, it's a green X, and instantly scroll right past it.
But by forcing ourselves to stop and stare at it, to analyze it for a full hour,
we realize that there is actually no such thing as a neutral image.
Never.
Someone, somewhere, consciously chose that exact hex code of green. Someone deliberately picked that traditional serif font. Someone made the decision not to use a simple check mark.
Every single one of those were choices.
And those choices manipulate us.
They absolutely manipulate us. They manipulate us into feeling safe with the color green. They manipulate us into feeling respect for authority with the serif font. They manipulate us into focusing our attention with the central composition.
And they managed to do all of that without writing a single actual word.
That is the raw, unspoken power of visual language.
It's actually kind of terrifying when you lay it all out like that. We are basically being programmed by geometric shapes and colors all day long on our screens.
We really are. The Buy Now button on Amazon is orange for a very specific psychological reason.
The notification badge on your social media is glaring red for a reason.
Exactly. And this green X is quietly pushing buttons deep in your brain that you didn't even know you had.
Okay, so bringing this all the way back to the very beginning of the show, we started this deep dive with a listener request to help people figure out how to spend and allocate their money.
Which is a very noble goal. Financial literacy is crucial.
It is, and we had to technically turn that specific request down because the visual source material just didn't support it. But looking at this incredibly deep analysis we just did, is there a core lesson here that actually does apply to managing your money?
I firmly believe there is. I think the ultimate lesson here is the power of pause and observe.
Okay, explain how that applies to someone's wallet.
Huge financial mistakes usually happen because we simply react to visual signals without analyzing them first.
Right. We just operate on instinct.
Exactly. We open our portfolio app, we see a sea of green numbers, we feel that hit of safety, and we impulsively buy more. Or we see a red downward line or adrenaline spikes, and we panic sell at the bottom.
Or we see a really slick, clean app interface for a brand new crypto token, and we automatically think, well, the app looks professional, so my money must be safe here.
Yes, we constantly react to the surface-level aesthetics.
We trust the bank implicitly because the physical building has giant marble columns, which is the architectural equivalent of the serif font.
Exactly the same principle. We trust the modern budgeting app because it's clean and flat and uses that office green. But if you train yourself to stop and really look, like we just did with this simple image, you start to see the hidden mechanics behind the curtain.
You see the compression artifacts in the pitch?
You see the psychological manipulation in the interface.
So the real financial lesson is, don't just blindly trust the big green button. Stop and ask yourself why the button is green in the first place.
Exactly. Interrogate the interface you are using to manage your money, whether it's a shiny new budget app, a targeted marketing email, or a trading platform. Look closely at their design choices.
Are they trying to artificially calm you down so you'll hand over your cash?
Or are they trying to manufacture a sense of urgency so you'll click subscribe without thinking? Once you can clearly see the why behind the design, you regain control. You are in the driver's seat, not the app designer.
I have to say, that is a surprisingly profound takeaway for an hour-long discussion about a single, unnamed JPEG.
I told you right at the start, everything is data. You just have to know how to mine it properly.
Well, I think it is safe to say we have successfully mined this particular image until the vein is completely empty. We have basically stripped the green paint right off the digital walls.
We have thoroughly deconstructed the pixel grid.
I really hope our listeners, and especially the person who sent in the file and the prompt, can appreciate the analytical rigor we applied here today.
I hope so too.
We couldn't give you the explicit financial spreadsheets you asked for, but hopefully we gave you a brand new lens through which to view the digital world.
And honestly, in the long run, developing strong critical thinking and observation skills will do far more to protect your wallet than any hot stock tip ever could.
I will absolutely co-sign that. Before we go, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought, a little practical homework assignment for your brain this week.
Oh, I love homework. What's the prompt?
The next time you are scrolling on your phone or working on your computer, I want you to actively look for the green X.
Not specifically this exact image file, obviously.
Right, not this exact file, but that specific combination of visual signals. Look for where the color green and the symbol X appear together in your digital life.
And when you spot it.
When you spot it, pause and ask yourself, what am I actually agreeing to right now? By clicking this, am I closing something out? Or am I unknowingly selecting and affirming something?
And more importantly, does the calming green color make me feel much better about clicking it than I really should?
Exactly. Keep your guard up. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredibly deep dive into what looked like the shallow end of the visual pool.
It was an absolute pleasure to analyze the digital nothingness with you today.
Until next time, everyone, keep your eyes open.
And always check your sources.
Take care.